Welcome everybody.
Donc nous allons lire le verset
Bhagavad Gita,
troisième chapitre,
third chapter, verse 9.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Bhagavatat Karmanum Yatra.
Bhagavatat Karmano Yatra.
Lokoyam Karma Bandhana.
Lokoyam Karma Bandhana.
Tadatam Karma Kunteya.
Tadatam Karma Kunteya.
Dakshanyam Samachara.
Mukta Sangha Samachara.
Traduction. L'action doit être accomplie.
Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction, and in that way you will always remain free from bondage. Purport. Since one has to work even for the simple maintenance of the body, the prescribed duties for a particular social position and quality are so made that the purpose can be fulfilled. All sacrificial performances are meant for the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu. The Vedas enjoin Yagya Vai Vishnu. In the other words, the same purpose is served whether one performs prescribed yagyas or directly serves Lord Vishnu. Krishna consciousness is therefore performance of yagya as it is prescribed in this verse. The Varnashram institution also aims at satisfying Lord Vishnu. Varnashram acharvarta purushena parapuman Vishnu aradyate. Therefore, one has to work for the satisfaction of Vishnu. Any other work done in this material world will be a cause of bondage. For both good and evil work have their reactions, and any reaction binds the performer. Therefore, one has to work in Krishna consciousness to satisfy Krishna or Vishnu. And while performing such activities, one is in a liberated stage. This is the great art of doing work. And in the beginning, this process requires very expert guidance. One should therefore act very diligently under the guidance of a devotee of Lord Krishna, or under the direct instruction of Lord Krishna himself, under whom Arjuna had the opportunity to work. Nothing should be performed for sense gratification, but everything should be done for the satisfaction of Krishna. This practice will not only save one from the reaction of work, but also gradually elevate one to the transcendental loving service of the Lord, which alone can raise one to the kingdom of God.
Om Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinami Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirveshe Shasunyavadi Prachajade Shatarine Vanchakalpataro Vyacha Kripa Sindhu Vyaivacha Pachitanam Pavadibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namo Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasati Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. This is a verse which is so important. Because when we don't act for the Lord, we can't really realize our relation with Him. So it's extremely deep, the words of Krishna. So of course, we can understand it on different planes. On the plane of Varnashram Dharma, the perfect society, which exists even in the abode of the Lord. For example, in Golok Vrindavan, Varnashram is ruling, since Krishna himself, in his eternal role as a young cowherd boy, is considering himself as a Vaishya. So, Krishna makes the society come in these universes, which manifests in a wonderful way in some ages and gradually decay, is degraded. That's why in this age of Kali, unfortunately, it fell down so much that we came in the system of castes. And those are things which are extremely hard. But the material world can't be any other way. Unless a succession of pure devotees maintain a path, it must be degraded, because the beings have desires, and mostly the desire of power. However, when we are controlled by this desire, then we see flaws everywhere, unless expecting in ourselves. And that's an extraordinary thing, because we can be the worst of person and see flaws in everybody, and that's our sickness. This is why we can't really love Krishna, because in the world of Krishna, it's a world where everybody considers he is smaller than the other. It's an extraordinary experience, Braj. Everybody, everything comes as a way to help us, because everybody loves us. And we suffer from this, because we are not on this plane, because we do not find love in this world. So that's why we have this tendency to try to find love, to make a small kingdom by getting married, doing this or that. But it's always frustration, because no one can give us happiness. It's just an illusion which comes life after life. But we can't do any other way, because we are destined to live in a harmony of love which is extremely sophisticated. Because Raj, Krishna, the Supreme Lord, can reciprocate with all the living beings. And since he reciprocates, all those feelings are perfect, in harmony. Every smell, every sound, the wind, sun, moon, everything's perfect, and you are in the middle, in the perfection, being even more perfect. That's extraordinary. And here we find the contrary completely. It's a complete disharmony. Nobody can love each other, nobody can appreciate the other, because we are not made to be here. But still, if we are not together, we can't progress. Do you understand? So the goal is not to reject everybody because we are frustrated. For example, some devotees that try to make the bhajan innerly to avoid this, but they do not have the qualification for this, so that then they do not have the association of the devotees. And if any further in a temple, they are away from others. So it's difficult because you are in a situation when you think you have an inner life and you don't, and you see the others and you say, oh, other, it's only external, they worship deities, it's just the external, they sing, chant, it's external. But that's not external. When Krishna comes as the deity, why did Mahaprabhu visit temples? Why did he see deity of the Lord starting to dance, and he was starting to dance and crying, and he was looking for hours deities? Why did he like to be with his devotees? It's not external. It's made so we can have inner feelings. So when we start to see everything as something inferior because we have a big ego, then we are cut from everything and we become alone and sick for us and for others, because after this frustration will give it to others. Look, it's external, look this, look that. And actually, we do not taste ourselves and will push others to become simply people who criticize and think they are more higher than others. And that's a trap. That's why the process of devotional service is not acquired alone. If you do your practice alone, you won't reach pure devotion. Your practice, your sadhana alone, won't bring you to pure bhakti. Because we must be connected to the ship, to the boat that the great Vaishnavas they built for us. And what is this boat? It's a practice, it's a process. Why do Rupa Goswami, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked to his associate to write this process? It's not so you can practice in a lonely way, isolated way, thinking you're higher than others. It does not bring anywhere. That's why we must practice together. That's very important. And be enthusiastic. I see some devotees. I have to look, I'm an authority. I'm tired of it, but I have to. Some devotees, they have no enthusiasm. They do not like to sing, to dance, to. But how such a person can progress? If he thinks he will stay a devotee, it's not even sure. Why do we not have enthusiasm? It's because we do not cultivate the devotion in an authentic way. We create our own conception, and so it doesn't work. That's why we must study. The one who does not study never do good. And he knows he doesn't have taste to chant, to dance, to listen, no taste. But try to understand why he does not have taste. Is not even interesting for him. He doesn't know why he's here. It's just like destiny. But that's not like this. We must understand why we are here, why we practice, why we do not advance spirituality. We must, it's very important, we are not like donkeys. Prabhupada often talks about Muda, donkeys. Materialists walk like donkeys and just to have a bunch of grass, whereas there's grass everywhere. But in a spiritual way, we can become a donkey too, because donkey is Kanishta Bhakta. It's this level where we are simply dominated by envy, and envy is not simply envy toward others, but also envy that you want your own life and be situated on a low level and you never want to get out of it. Never. We are not interested by practice. There are activities in the temple, like Harinam, giving mercy, but some are never there giving mercy. They are not interested because they are not interested by receiving it themselves. That's the truth. So have no taste. Will this life continue like this? And another one and another one? That's why Srila Prabhupada instructed us that the movement of Sankirtan is a movement of mercy. We must give to receive, and that's very important. Because if we do not give, we won't be happy. We will always be tired, lamenting. We will never get out of it. It's by taking the train that we can go. If we take the process of our acharya, understand how we can become happy, then we will become. Because some experiment this. However, in this verse, the Lord Himself explains how to reach this happiness. We must be engaged in the service of Krishna, live for Krishna, through all our activities, 24 hours a day. There's no other way. Those are not tales. The one who lives in this way becomes a liberated soul and can see the beauty of Braj. Have an experience. Once the experience comes, we never go back. We cry to have this experience and we understand our problem. As long as there's no experience, we can't understand. But if we do not study, we do not see a doctor to get out of sickness, which means if we do not inquire toward pure devotees how to progress, then we always sick. Those sick people who want to always want to be sick, they never ask questions. Never. They never ask any question why they are sick. They want to stay sick. They are happy being sick, having a lot of problems, never taste anything. They never shed a tear because Krishna is not here. That's not Krishna's fault, Acharya's fault. We are the problem. We are not interested. We are just in a small situation. We're okay with it. Even animals are like this. A pig is happy when he eats stools. He does not ask himself questions. But what is human being? What's the human beings? The consciousness of the human beings, what is it? Is to ask himself questions. Ask questions. And change. So that's very important. We can't stay in this situation all the time, day after day. Envying others, criticizing others. That's a hellish life. Never be satisfied with what Krishna gives us. Always be frustrated. But that's not the way it is. We just need a simple life. A simple life. Be satisfied with what Krishna gives us. And cultivate love. If we desire more, then we cultivate material desires, what we
On ne
have.
pourra pas avoir plus, c'est
We
un
won't
karma.
be able to have
On est
more.
né
That's a
avec un
karma.
corps,
We take birth with a
avec des
body,
qualités,
with
avec
qualities,
des défauts.
with flaws.
On ne peut pas changer les
We
choses.
can't change things.
Mais par contre,
But
en s'abandonnant au Seigneur
by
suprême,
surrendering
on peut réaliser
to the Supreme
notre
Lord, we can
nature véritable.
realize our true nature.
Et ça
And
ça
this
doit être notre but.
must be our
Peu
goal.
importe qui nous sommes.
Doesn't matter
Peu
who we
importe dans
are.
quelle
It
situation
doesn't
nous
matter
sommes. Ça
our
doit être notre
situation.
but. Si c'est pas
It
notre
must be
but,
our
on
goal.
a gâché notre
If it is
existence
not, then
humaine.
we wasted our
Et on
human
devra
existence,
reprendre une naissance.
and we will have to take
On ne
another
sait pas dans
birth,
quelles conditions.
and we don't know in
Et
which
ça dure peu
condition.
de temps.
And
Très peu
it's
de temps.
very fast.
Et
It
pensez
does
pas
not
que la
last
mort va
long.
pas arriver.
Do not think death won't
C'est très
come.
rapide.
Death is it's very fast.
Donc si on a cette conscience,
So if we have this consciousness,
pourquoi on ne chante pas?
why do we not
Pourquoi on
chant?
n'étudie pas?
Why do we not study?
Pourquoi on ne prend pas du temps
Why do we not take time
pour approfondir notre
to
vie spirituelle?
deepen our spiritual life?
Alors qu'on prend tellement de temps
Whereas we
à faire
take
le
so
temps.
much time to do nonsense.
C'est pourquoi
That's why
on doit être concentré. C'est
we
très
must be
important.
focused. That's very
La
important.
maladie viendra, la
The
mort
sickness
viendra,
and
toutes
death
ces
will
choses
come,
viendront.
all the things will
Mais
come.
lorsque
But
on prend
when
la vie spirituelle au sérieux,
we take seriously
et
the
qu'on veut
spiritual
devenir
life
un
and we want to
serviteur
become
du
a
serviteur
servant
du
or the
serviteur,
servant of the servants,
alors
then
on comprend qu'on
we
est tout seul.
understand that we are not alone anymore.
Krishna va s'occuper de nous.
Krishna will take care of me.
Krishna connaît tout.
Krishna knows everything.
Il connaît notre passé.
He knows
Il connaît
our
notre
past,
présent.
our
Il connaît
present,
notre futur.
our future.
Si on s'en remet à lui,
If we surrender to Him,
regarde schéma, il va tout prendre en
He
charge.
will take everything in charge.
On
That's
doit
why
donner
we
notre
must
cœur à
give
Krishna,
our heart
comme les
to
gopis.
Krishna, just like the gopis.
Srila Prabhupada dit, le
Srila
meilleur
Prabhupada
exemple,
say,
c'est les gopis.
best example is the gopi.
Qu'est-ce que les gopis font?
What did the gopi
Ils ont
do?
simplement donné leur
They
cœur
simply
à Krishna.
gave their
Et ils
hearts to
dépendent de
Krishna
Krishna.
and they depend on Krishna.
Peu importe
Doesn't
les
matter
activités
the
que vous
activities
avez.
you have.
Mais si vous dépendez en
If
fait
you
de Krishna,
depend on
Krishna
Krishna,
viendra.
Krishna will come.
Toujours.
Always.
Il viendra.
He will come
Toujours pour vous soutenir.
always to support you,
Donner
to
cette
give you
intelligence,
this
cette
intelligence,
association
this
à l'intérieur de
association
vous-même.
inside yourself.
Mais pour ça,
But for this,
il faut vivre pour lui.
you need to live for Him.
Si vous ne vivez pas pour lui
If you don't live for Him
à 100%,
100%,
comment vous voulez qu'il réciproque?
how can He reciprocate with you?
Il va réciproquer pourquoi?
What will He
Lui,
reciprocate
dans son
for?
monde, il n'y a que l'amour.
In His word, there's only love. Nanda Maharaj, Mother Yashoda, Shridam, Sudam, Lalita, Vishaka, and of course Radharani.
Il va réciproquer pourquoi si vous ne voulez pas aller
With what
habiter
will He
dans son monde
reciprocate
éternel?
if you don't want to go in His
Ce monde, ça
eternal
l'intéresse pas,
home
Krishna.
with Him? He is not interested in this world,
Donc si
Krishna.
vous n'avez pas le désir
So if you
de
don't
faire,
have the desire to
comment
be
vous
with Him,
voulez qu'il établisse
how
une
do you want
relation
Him
avec
to
vous?
establish a relationship with you?
Vous allez être dans une situation
You will
d'oubli,
be
parce
in a
qu'il ne pourra pas
forgetfulness
réciproquer avec vous.
situation because He won't be able to
Et si vous êtes
reciprocate
dans
with
une
you.
situation
And
d'oubli,
if you're
vous
in
êtes comme un
situation
matérialiste
of
déguisé.
forgetfulness, you are just like a disguised
Vous êtes
materialist,
frustré à l'intérieur,
frustrated inside.
vous pratiquez quelque chose, vous dites
Practice
quelque chose, mais
something,
vous
you
ne
say
pouvez pas le
something,
goûter.
but you don't taste it.
Il n'y a rien de pire.
There's nothing worse.
Et en plus, vous ne pouvez même pas revenir en arrière parce que vous avez quand même la vision.
And you can't even go back because you have the
Parce que
vision
c'est
that
une
all
vision.
others
Krishna donne la vision.
are wrong. Because it's a
pourquoi, si
vision.
vous
Krishna
avez la
gives the vision.
Que vous avez
But
fait tout
why,
ce chemin,
if you have the
tout
vision, you make
abandonné,
all this
pourquoi pas
way,
accepter?
gave up everything, why do you not accept?
C'est juste de la folie.
This is craziness. This is just
Vous
madness.
vivez dans l'endroit où Krishna
You
vous
live
donne tout,
in
mais
the
vous voulez
place
pas
where
le
Krishna
prendre.
gives you everything,
Quel
but
genre
you
de
don't
personne
want
vous
to
êtes?
take it. Which kind of people are you?
Quelle sorte de personne vous êtes?
Which kind of people are you?
Vous êtes dans l'endroit où Krishna fait
You are in
tout
a
pour vous.
place where Krishna
Il
does
donne
everything
tout.
for you. He gives everything,
Et
everything,
vous ne voulez pas.
but you don't want. Again and again you don't want, you fight. Again and again to not receive mercy. What do you want him to do? He won't catch you with a rope, attach you, force you. Krishna is not like this. He's a being of love. It must come from you. So why? Why? What happened? What's happening? Who keeps you back? Things which will disappear in 5, 10 years with death. What keeps you back? What illusion? Why do you believe in illusion? Who keeps you back? Maya. Krishna manifested Maya because people want to be independent. That's an illusion. That's why you're not happy. This verse explains we must dedicate our life completely. It's important, but with consciousness, because when Srila Prabhupada say Krishna consciousness, there must be a feeling. Srila Rupa Goswami, when he gave definition of pure devotion, he said with feelings. We need feelings, not just action. It's not enough. We must understand what you do when you take a hammer, when you wash the dishes. You need feelings and everything will transform. Do the same activity with love. You will see, you will be connected to Krishna. That's why the Lord Himself has the name Krishna Chaitanya, Krishna consciousness, because He showed in which way we must act with love and consciousness. If you don't put love and consciousness when you act, when you do activities, then it's a material activity. That's the difference. Krishna says, whether you offered me like with love and devotion, leaf, water, and so on, I will accept it. But love and devotion is what creates the relation, the love. That's why our goal is not to isolate, thinking, playing as we are a Bhajanandi, close eyes. That's not our goal. Our goal is to act with devotion. Because someone who plants clove, yes, and with love for Krishna, and someone who's chanting with faking feelings for Krishna, who's the most advanced, the one who plants the clove, this one can see Krishna. He can see Krishna. Because in this activity, Krishna is here. That's why. Why do we act in this way? Why do we listen without consciousness? Why do we always sleep? Why do we waste this life? Just for pride, because we want a position. But look, what position? We don't even know what will happen in a few years. There's a war everywhere. We have to wait a big disaster so we can act with consciousness and cry. Is that what we need? See our children going to the war to start to be sincere and see what's the nature of this world. Is it what we need? That's why calamities happen. It's explained from 2024 to 2035. It will just increase the pain, and after golden age will happen. But why do we wait for suffering to pray for being delivered, to cry? Why do we not understand this word of love? where we just act because we want to love Krishna and not by personal interest. It's very important. How will we subsist if there is no love? How will we maintain ourselves if there is no Krishna? It's explained if there is no Krishna in a couple between a man and a woman, then the couple can't continue because there will be pride, and at some point it will be hellish. It can't work. We simply must become humble servant of Krishna. So in a community, it's like a couple. It's the same thing. If you quarrel like cats and dogs or whatever you want, it won't work. Look, she did not do this. Look, he did not do this. Look at him, look at her, or this or that. They always have arms raising like this. They seem to be breakdancing. This is their life. But it can't work. But at the same time, we should not be utopic. Because love starts by ourselves. We must create the link and not wait for others to do it. We are in an imperfect world. It can't be perfect. The one who thinks, I don't understand why is it like this, he doesn't understand anything. He's just so proud. The person is not perfect and doesn't understand others are not perfect. Those are dogs. Those are dogs barking. There are videos sometimes when you put a portal and the barking, and when you remove the portal, the door, they stop barking. And it's the same if we look. If we are not seen by others, we bark. But if they see us, we stop. But if we look properly, we are not better. But we can't do any other way because we're not perfect. So the way to have this perfection is to understand how to get healed and take the medication. But if we don't do it with consciousness and love, it does not work. Because for this medication to have effect, we must take it with consciousness, Krishna consciousness. That's very important. If you take it without consciousness, it will work, but it will take more time, more lives, several lives. That's unavoidable. That's why now we are the builder of our destiny. Srila Prabhupada said in these books, if we don't reach perfection, we come back. He often says this in this books. Those who read the books of Prabhupada know it. Prabhupada says this. But this perfection, he says also it can come in a moment. When he was asked how long it takes to become Krishna conscious, he said a moment. But what does it mean, consciousness? Consciousness. That's very important. That's why we must really think on our life. Observe, watch it, and take good decisions so we can increase our devotion. It's not easy. It's hard. When we have no taste, we are so contaminated by ignorance and passion, it's hard. But what's our choice? Are we happy in our situation? And that's not easy because you say no, but you did not change. That's mystical. When you ask this question, everybody says no, but nobody will change because Maya is powerful. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta explained she acts in two ways. She's constantly beating the jiva, but she gives a small taste, and because of this small taste, is ready to continue again and again. It's so powerful, but we are all in this situation. That's why we should lament. Tears are important to get out of this situation. We need to cry. And that's interesting because Mahaprabhu came to open a school of tears. So, of course, it's pure because Mahaprabhu was always crying for Krishna, but at a lesser level, we should pray Krishna so he can show us our situation and he be merciful. Because by ourselves we'll never have the strength to get out. We can just cry. We can just sleep. We do not have choice. It's like mechanical. Because gunas are here. Mode of material natures are here and they are beating us. Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Jaiva Dharma, he explains material nature is like what?
An anvil.
An anvil, and where there's the jiva, and he's beaten by the three kinds of suffering. And the only difference is that we surrender to Krishna. We will receive this intelligence. And we will see our situation. And when we see it naturally, we want to get out of it. That's why there's a vision at some point in our reality. And that's hard. It's hard to see it. But if we don't, we won't want to get out of it. But when we say get out of it, it's not just kicking and chasing away everything. They all have problems except me, except myself. It's just an ego trap, a trap of the ego. It's just seeing things and use it. It's just this. It's the difference between a pure devotee and someone who's on the path of pure devotion. It's just a vision and a feeling which change, but it's the same situation. We do not change body. All the beings are around us, but we see them differently and we exchange with them differently. And what does it mean? We act for Krishna. We only act for Krishna by love for Krishna, because Krishna is in the heart of everybody, of everything. He's the origin of everything, all the feelings, all the qualities. So when we put Krishna in the center of our life, then there's a perfect harmony with him, with ourselves and with others. Sometimes materialist people who have no intelligence, they think, oh, if I do think only of Krishna, I betray others. But when you die and you give them up, don't you betray them? Don't you betray them when you die? When you take another body, then don't you betray them? You don't remember them? Is that so important? So, Srila Prabhupada explains something important. We should never think those material feelings are more important than the feeling of the soul. We must live at the level of the soul and serve Krishna through our environment. This is perfect, because even if someone can't accept this truth, we have no obligation to talk about it. But if we act for Krishna, it's a more beautiful way to act than acting with the person directly. Because when we act directly, we want respect, and it's complicated. But when we act for Krishna, we don't want respect. We are humble, respectful, tolerant, so the relation is perfect. It's not that we cheat. That's the contrary. Or when our relations are based on the pleasure of Krishna, all the beings have a benefit, spiritual benefit. Whereas materially, that's not the case. It can help them maybe at some point because they need some food. They need some words because they suffer, but these words won't get them free, set them free from their ignorance. That's why the Gopi say those who share this knowledge are most perfect. The beings, the more compassionate. We must help others. If we don't, then we don't help ourselves. If we feel no compassion, knowing all the beings will have to take the reaction in their next life, how can we live just walking in the streets and not having compassion to the beings around us? We see them eating meat. How can you laugh? And those are preachers. Why is someone a preacher? It's because he has compassion. When there's no more compassion in the hearts, we can't preach anymore. Why Prabhupada made so much compassion? Because he was pure. He saw his eternal position and what the beings would become. Can you imagine the shock? That's why he had such an energy for the beings to be saved, and today we receive a little of this energy. Otherwise, we would just be focused by our only satisfaction. Find money, raise children, for example. When there's no more compassion, we're just self-centered, and that's the spiritual sickness. We just try to be happy, to get free. That's why we must do Harinam. Distribute books, the prashad, make arrangements so the beings can receive the mercy. If we don't, it means we do not have a millimeter of compassion. We are lost. We don't understand anything. Nothing at all. Can you realize living without compassion? We don't even understand what we do. What others, through the reaction of the act, where they will go. We understand nothing, just like an animal. That's the animalistic life. We have a walk without feeling anything. That's not easy if we look properly. But who saved us from this? And if we want to stray, why did we become like this without compassion? Prabhupada is the personified compassion. He's the electricity current, and if we are away from him, we are away from this compassion. And when that's a reality, and when there's no more compassion, we suffer because we live together, because we try to have satisfaction together, and it's not possible, so the quarrel starts to come in the temple. That's the problem. But distributing books, prashad, chant the holy names, it means with consciousness. There are people selling books, distributing food and chanting in the streets, but without consciousness. We always come back to the same thing. In which way do I distribute books? In which way do I chant in the streets? In which way do I distribute prashadam? What my feeling is. What is my feeling? If we want to improve our consciousness, and our way to live together. We must meditate on the subjects. It's very important. Otherwise, quarrel, Kali Yuga will come in the community. Srila Prabhupada told us something. Kali can't come inside as long as we follow the principle of spiritual life. But if we start in the community to live for yourself, Kali will come, quarrel will come, this community will be destroyed. It's just a matter of time. There will be no more solution to go on. We'll just gather and there will be no solution. We can't do anything. Everything is blocked. What do we do? I don't know. If I do this, the one will do this. If everyone lives for himself, there is no more sacrifice. We are not ready to sacrifice our little life. There's no more solution. It's the beginning of the end. Think about it. A question.
At the beginning, Gurudev, you mentioned,
Au commencement, Gurudev, tu as mentionné
that the gopis give their hearts to Krishna.
que les gopis donnent leur cœur à Krishna.
I have sometimes a fear.
Et parfois j'ai peur
Because when I give my heart to Krishna, I have a fear that if I give my heart to Krishna or to the spiritual master,
si je donne mon cœur à Krishna ou à maître spirituel,
they won't understand it.
Ils vont pas le comprendre, le niveau auquel je suis.
They won't understand my heart and I'll get hurt. I'm scared that if I give my heart to Krishna, I'll be hurt.
Ils vont pas comprendre mon cœur et je vais être blessé. J'ai peur que si je donne mon cœur à Krishna ou à maître spirituel, je vais devenir blessé. Krishna says he reciprocates. That's the principle of love. But if you give your heart, all the rest will be done. That's trust, but it's difficult to have trust because for life and lives, we've been cheated by men, women, this, that. And so it's really strongly impressed in us. And when we reciprocate with the beings, even the Supreme Lord, even the pure devotee, there is this impression which appears and projects on this relation, and we are afraid, and that's normal. It's normal. But with time, with purification, at some point, we will be tired to defend ourselves. It's like something which will be revealed inside of us. I'm tired of fighting. And we will even realize that we've lived many existences. Because Krishna acts like this, he shows us everything. And then we will understand. By myself, I can't obtain anything. And even if we are not pure and not perfect, we will offer our heart. We'll say, no, do whatever you want with me. And Krishna, the one who once in his life, surrender to the Lord, thinking, I give you my life. Krishna will arrange everything. But by ourselves, we won't reach perfection. If the Lord in our hearts doesn't make all the arrangement, but we must have faith. That's why Srila Rupa Goswami explains that one of the divine qualities is trust. And this trust does not come easily, but it's normal. It's normal. It will come gradually. Srila Prabhupada said he could disappear, but Krishna never disappears. Krishna is perfect. Why do not give your heart to Krishna? If we give our heart to Krishna, he will help us to understand the position of the Vaishnava. First we come because of the Vaishnava, and we have our limits. But Krishna is above. We must have faith in Krishna. He's the origin of everything. He's pure. And after Krishna, when he comes, he reciprocates to bring us to the vision of what is his devotee. And he will make us understand that without the mercy of a Vaishnava, I can't be reached. But it's a relationship of love. Krishna will reveal the position of the devotee. And at that moment, we will understand the love Krishna has for his devotee. It's something extraordinary. When we can see Krishna and his devotee, and the way Krishna loves his devotee, then we see the devotee is even more beautiful than Krishna. But that's so high. At that moment, we can realize that having given the heart brought us to this transcendental plane. And it's a moment, wonderful moment. We can't imagine it. We have to experiment it, but it's the most perfect moment when we see our eternal Guru smiling to us near from Krishna. It's so wonderful, so wonderful. And we feel completely in safety, completely taken. We lack of nothing. And then we understand what is love. But before it's difficult. Talk about a philosophy is something, but experience of the Guru, eternal Guru, like Srila Prabhupada, is something we can't imagine. It's even more beautiful than Krishna. Because without Guru, there's no Krishna, there's no Radharani. It's so wonderful, so beautiful. It's like a firework of joy and qualities, and there's no word. Even the mountains are not tall enough, the ocean are not big enough to describe what we can feel. But to come back to the beginning of the lecture, if we act without consciousness, we'll never have this experience. And the higher experience makes us give up a lower experience, which means your consciousness you have right now, you won't be able to give it up for if you don't have a higher experience. If you are too much distracted by games, television, this, that, you will develop a taste which is material and not spiritual, and then the desire to reach perfection will leave. Maya is very powerful. She comes in so many ways, it's hard. And we are weak. We are weak. We are weak because we need pleasure. We need love. We can't find it. So we take shelter in things which will lower our consciousness, and we will less and less and less find him. Because as soon as we absorb ourselves in material things, the relation with Krishna goes back, and that's not easy. Where is the balance? It's not easy. And that's what's complicated, but that's another subject. Thank you very much.